Deep in the shadows, I know it's hard to put one foot in front of the other.
Hi guys, welcome back to my YouTube channel. CeeChronicles is my name, and I do post fragrance related content on this platform, particularly Middle Eastern fragrances. Now, if you like that style of content, please do consider subscribing and joining the family. To those who are returning, thank you so much for the continued support. I do have a second channel, CeeChronicles Unscripted, where I post non-Middle Eastern fragrances as well as vlogs. Now, if you want to get to that channel, all you have to do is click the link in the description and you're going to get to that. And there's also a second link that is going to take you to PayPal in case you want to donate anything at all towards the purchases of some of the fragrances on this channel, as this channel is not sponsored. Now, welcome guys to today's fragrance review. We have Shaghaf Oud Amar, a new fragrance in my collection, but it is a 2023 composition. Now, if you've been following the Shaghaf line, you will know that when they introduced the Shaghafs, they were in a basic box, but the new ones are coming in a luxurious box. So this is the presentation, and the bottle itself is red. Somebody in the comment section when I was unboxing this fragrance did say that Ahmar means red. Okay, so this is the atomizer for Amar, and I'm going to tell you my thoughts right now. This fragrance, guys, is going to present as a burst of a fruity floral, but not so much as the florals, but more of the fruits with an underlying very shy woody tone to it. It does list in a note pyramid peach, melon, freesia, bergamot, iris, and in the mid of it is going to be a crisp apple, amber, tonka, and some rose. And the base of this fragrance, guys, is going to be amber again, vanilla, sandalwood, cedar, if I'm not mistaken, and some oud. Right now, let me get the oud part first out of the way. This to me has a very gentle, almost non-existent oud to the nose, making this one not align with the Middle Eastern like stereotype fragrance oud type of fragrances there. So if you don't like oud, do not let that oud Amar put you off from this fragrance. However, it does have a woody wrap up, slightly woody there in the dry down than it is more woody. The opening of this fragrance, guys, is an almost a distinct melon wrap up of a fragrance there in the top. So it does present the fruits mostly, but with that water weight coming from the melon. And it does depend on whether you call the melon a fruit or a vegetable. To you, it's entirely up to you, but it is that melon that gives like a watery weight to the fruits. So they do not come across as very sweet, at least to my nose. They come across as watered down there, semi-sweet. Now the DNA of this fragrance, guys, is going to scream outright herba pura to your nose if you have smelled that fragrance. Now, the best way for me to review this fragrance for you is going to be a process of elimination. And that's why you saw that in the thumbnail I did put a couple of other fragrances. Now, right? The process of elimination I'm going to use here is to help you to get a mental shortcut as to which one you need. 1, 2, to avoid redundancy, right? So this is from Swiss Arabian, right? And I hope you will follow through so that you do not get confused. Now, this is Lattafa's Oud Mood. It has nothing to do with this one, but I am giving this one as an example that if I hadn't lost or broke my Shaghaf Oud, I would have been holding this one and Shaghaf Oud and giving you an example of how different the two fragrances are in as much as they go for the same DNA, right? Oud Mood by Lattafa is going for that Lancôme Oud Bouquet, but it gives a more prominent, loud, screechy, even lasting for days kind of DNA of that fragrance, right? So compared to that Shaghaf Oud, if I had it here, I would be saying this one is louder and that one is more rounded, more refined, softer, but they're both going for the same DNA. So enough said when it comes to this particular example. We are getting to this one, so please don't click off this video. I just want to try and help you to, to get you to understand why I personally have it in my collection, in as much as I have used or smelt about 4 of the other fragrances that are going for that same herba pure DNA, right? Now, one that I kept and I do have a review of is Abiyedh. Now, this one is a 101 clone of that herba pura DNA. It does represent that DNA to the T, but this is where it's at. And I've had this fragrance for about 2.5 years in my collection. But the usage will tell you that it's a fragrance that I kind of have to think of. It is identical to that herba pura to the T. It's amped up on the sweetness. It's very loud there, quite sticky to the nose, polarizing, even borderline nauseating to an extent. It's doing a little bit too much. The fruits are there, they're prominent. The oud is there. It's not as prominent, but it is there. It's quite a polarizing, type of fragrance, but going for the same DNA, right? Another one that I'm going to give you as an example, but I do not have here, is Al Watania's Rawi Regina, right? I smelled that in the same store. I'm going to put a picture of it on the screen. Has the same DNA, but that one is amped up more on the florals, less on the fruits, sweet, translating to the same thing. So I didn't pick that one up because to me it was just an issue of trying to decipher through differences. Another fragrance, which is fragrance number 3, that I did bring here, that does share that same DNA as Herba Pura, was one from Fragrance World. I am going to put the links of the 2 reviews if you want to move from this review to the other 2. The review of this one going for Herba Pura, and the review of that one called Vanilla Bouquet by Fragrance World, which I bought thinking was going to be a Spiritueuse Double Vanille, only for it to turn out to be an Herba Pura clone. Reason why I did not keep that one, I actually decluttered it, was because it is amped up more on the masculine tone there, right? So I have given you a 3rd example. Now the last example is going to be Club de Nuit, the new one, Club de Nuit Oud, right? I smelled that. I'm going to put a picture of it again. The only reason why I did not buy that one was honestly because of the price. It was going for about $70. So I did not feel the need to pull the trigger on that particular one. But I did get a DNA that seemed to yo-yo between that Herba Pura, which is this DNA, this clone here, and that Kirke. It was a fragrance that was amped up there on the passion fruit, amped up there on the oud. The oud was more prominent there, and the woods were more prominent, and it was bouncing between that Kirke and the Herba Pura. So I didn't buy it because of the price. Now, going back to this particular review and why I was giving you a process of elimination is, 1, if you love the Herba Pura DNA, you like it, but you feel it's too amped up, you feel it's too pushy, you feel it's too thick, you feel it's too sweet, you feel it's too loud, you feel it's too cloying, then this is going to be your well-rounded take of that version. It's going to give you a softened feel of that version, something that you get from Shaghaf Oud, that almost waxy feel, right? And I know waxy is nose specific. What I might call waxy wrap-up might not be waxy to you, but by this I'm just saying like an ambery, vanillary wrap-up of a fragrance that presents the fruits that are not as loud, but there, that has a sweetness that's a little bit toned down there, that has an obvious refinement within it, which is something that you will get not only from this, but from most of the Swiss Arabian fragrances. So that's going to be the deciding factor, right? And that's going to be the advantage, for instance, of, say, owning this one. The exemption I'm going to make is going to be on the Club de Nuit, the new one with that mushroom top, the oud one. That one is going to be an exception because it amps up the passion fruit. It amps up, a little bit of the oud there, kind of like giving it its own take of a fusion between both. But if you're going for the Herba Pura DNA, it's going to be down to this one, Al Watania Rawi, this one, an Abiyedh White by Lattafa, or that Vanilla Bouquet. And the reason why I purchased this one is, to me, it was a better toned fragrance, a more refined toned fragrance, an almost shy fragrance with like an aquatic, almost fresh finish to it. Now, let us talk about the disadvantages having said that. Now, the waxy tone, the softness, the soft wrap up, and that smooth rounded feel that you get from Amar is going to be something that unfortunately your nose might lose after 4 to 5 hours. So I'm going to put the longevity for the wearer at about 4 to 5 hours, because it's smooth, it's rounded, it's got that fresh wrap up to it, that fruity tone to it, that ambery tone to it, that vanilla dry down to it. Very soft woods there, almost a non-existent oud, presenting everything as subtle and smooth. And because of that, the wearer might find themselves, not being able to smell this after the 4 or 5 hour mark. However, as a person who's worn this myself, I can say people around me have said past the 5 hours, 6, 7 hours, even 8 hours, they do feel a fruity wrap up, of a scent around me when I'm wearing this. So it is a fragrance that you may lose smell off in the 4-5 hours as the wearer, but people around you will be able to smell a scent bubble around you that is a soft, fruity, fresh, even aquatic, slightly sweet kind of tone of a fragrance within you, even past that 7-8 hour mark, right? So the lasting power of this one is going to be nose specific. Because of the smoothness, it does unfortunately happen to be a fragrance that falls flat for those who love beast mode fragrances, especially to their nose. But for those who love well-refined, well-crafted fragrances, you love the Herbapura DNA, you feel it is too scritchy for you, then this is probably going to be the best take. However, as a conclusion, I'm going to say price point is going to be one thing that you need to consider when purchasing, because it does go for the same DNA. The only differences are this one is going to be thicker, louder, screechy. The Vanilla Bouquet is going to have almost like a masculine tone there coming to the surface, something that feels like a little bit of a vetiver-ish tone coming to the surface there. The Vanilla Bouquet by Fragrance World, that Rawi Regina giving off a more floral tone there, but does carry the same sweetness as this. This one giving a well-rounded feel, presentation of that Herbapura DNA, and then of course that Club de Nuit Oud, the new one, giving a fusion of Kirke and Herbapura. So I do hope, guys, I do not lose you there. I do hope you were following through. I do hope you do get the differences. If anything, I will probably add the Club de Nuit Oud one, because I feel that one is different and distinct enough in that passion fruit use and a little bit toned upness of the oud to add to my collection to be different enough from this one. But as for the other ones, I can say if you want to save your money, you can, and it's also going to depend on your budget. Hopefully, money permitting, I'm going to try and get all of them here, and not all as in from the beginning of the line, but all the new ones here, and then give you my final thoughts on all of them. CeeChronicles is my name. Thank you so much, guys, for joining me today. Please remember to turn on post notifications on both my channels. That way, guys, you get to be notified anytime I upload a video. Meanwhile, like and share this one, and remember that smelling good is a form of good manners. Cheers.